So this is your review for your group quiz. You're going to be taking it right immediately after this. So writing this stuff down and going through it will help you out. You'll have a group quiz that looks very similar to this review. You'll have a homework that looks very similar to this review. And your test tomorrow will look very similar to this review. So right now, if you want to raise your grade, you're wondering, how do I raise my grade? Is do really good on this review right now as I'm going over it. That way your group quiz will be really good. That way you'll know how to do your entire homework, and then you'll ace your test tomorrow on the minimum day, and you'll have an A. So it's a couple days of work. There'll be no homework over the weekend, and you can have a good grade on the test. So it's a good opportunity to do some good. So let's go through this. I'm not going to do every single problem, but I'm going to give you the gist of it as we go along. One thing we're not going to do that we normally do is checks, just because there's not enough time to actually write out the check, but you can still do it mentally, and we'll practice that as well. So let's start here. A good way to start on number 1 is to know, what does this mean? What does 4x actually mean mathematically? Yeah, 4 times. This means 4 times what number is negative 12? Okay? What's the opposite of multiplying by 4? Dividing by 4. So you put a little line under each number. Now, we're also going to practice our form. We got to get our penmanship a little better, I think. So as we do this, make sure you copy exactly. Right underneath the x here, go straight down. The next line, that x should be in a straight line. The equal sign should be directly underneath. So as you're doing these, everything lines up perfectly. Not just kind of jumping over the place. It'll look very similar to how a textbook would look. Okay? Neat, organized, easy to follow. What is negative 12 divided by 4? Negative 3. Now, we're going to go ahead and circle or box all our answers. And remember, you can always do a mental check. You can say, okay, 4 times negative 3 is negative 12. Okay, I get negative 12 on both sides. That way I know for a fact that this is 100% correct before you turn it in for your quiz and test tomorrow. You don't have to hope you got it right. You don't have to wonder, what's my grade? If you just do this 2-second check on every problem, you will know what your grade is, because you know if the answer is correct or not. Same idea on number 2. We have what number plus 11 is 19? Okay. What's the opposite of add 11? All right. So underneath this the plus sign should be minus sign. All right. Underneath the 11 should be the 11, and the numbers should line up. Okay. On the other side, same thing. The numbers should line up. So we're practicing on our form. If this is overly simple, you can practice on your format just to make sure it's legible and neat. Now, watch this. Your x should be straight down. This equals 0. Leave it blank. Equals straight down. 19 minus 11 is 8. So align everything. So it's really easy to follow. Go ahead and circle that. Number 3. This says negative 11 is equal to some number divided by 10. Right? You understand right here? V over 10, that means V divided by 10. What's the opposite of dividing by 10? All right. So when I do this, watch this. The 10 is going to be placed kind of like on right next to the V. It's not going to be in the middle. It's not on the bottom. It's right next to the V. Because it's like a 10 over 1, but we don't put over 1. And on the left-hand side, there's a 3 in the way, so we'll just have to do a little bit above. Okay. Again, if you need to, go ahead and put the equal sign first so you know it's going to be lined up ahead of time. Drop it straight down. What is 10 divided by 10? Right here? No. 1. So we have 1V. We just write V. 10 times negative 11. Negative 110 or negative 11 with a 0. Remember, we multiply by 10, you just add a 0 to the other number. All right? And usually we like to do one more step here. If the variable's on the right-hand side, let's do one more step. Still line up the equal sign. like so. So put v equal to negative 110. So in general, for all of your equations on every math class you ever take the rest of your life, you should see this on your work. Okay, and soon with a new standard, they'll actually be grading you on this. Does your work communicate everything? Does it have all the steps? Is it legible? Can people follow your reasoning? And so sometimes we have some people doing it this way, some people skip that step. Yeah, your state test scores will maybe change a whole lot. Even if you have all the work there, if it doesn't, communicate easily to other people, they'll say, you need to improve. All right, 4, very similar. It's some number minus 3 is equal to negative 20. Add 3 to both sides and move on. We're going to skip that for now. And let's go to inequalities. On these, starting on number, let's 5, I guess. Yeah. 3 is less than what number plus 11? Or 3 is less than what numbers plus 11? Okay. Now, I know this number line's in the way. I try to do everything with the program to make it further away so we can just work on it. But, so I'm just going to pretend the number line's not there. And so right underneath the positive sign, the plus sign here, I'm going to go straight down. I'm going to put minus 11. And then over here, right underneath the 3, I'm going to go straight down and put minus 11. So I'm going to pretend like the number line's not even there and just go on like I normally would. All right, so if you need to, go straight down from the inequality sign, put the less than. Okay, the right-hand side, what is 11 minus 11? 0. So we get just p. P plus 0, which is p. And 3 minus 11? Negative 8. Yeah, if you have $3 and you get a check for $11, you got a bill for $11, you still owe $8. So 3 minus 11 is 8, negative 8. All right, now let's graph it. Negative 8 is greater than all these answers. Now, would 0 work in here? Is negative 8 less than 0? That means 0 is what? That means 0 is an answer, which means everything to the right of negative 8 is an answer. Now, is negative 8 an answer itself? No. Yeah, so negative 8 is not less than negative 8. So that's why we use an open circle. So negative 8 itself is not an answer. If there is an equal sign underneath, then we would put a closed circle. But there's no equal sign underneath, so we leave open. And then all these numbers right here. So there, all those numbers. So all these numbers work. So negative 8 is less than all these numbers. Notice how negative 8 is to the left of all these numbers. Another way of writing this is saying, if you flip it around, you say, our answers are all bigger than negative 8. It means the same thing. Our answers, all of these, are bigger than this number. Okay? So we want to write our answer like this with the variable on the left. Let's do 6, we'll skip 7 and 8. Okay. So, what do you notice about 6 right away, actually? Anybody see it? Something we're always looking for. What are we going to have to do special on number 6? Flip it, because, exactly. Anytime you see that negative in front of a number, you know you're going to have this extra step. You have to flip the inequality sign because of that. What about number 7? Do you have to do it at number 7? Yep, there's a negative 18, so we're going to have to flip it there. What about number 8? Do we have to flip it here? Look at number 8. Do you have to flip it here? No, there's no number on the variable. So you're only looking for a negative that's next to the variable or underneath the variable. But these negatives, like negative 18, this minus 10, that doesn't count. It has to be right next to the variable or right underneath the variable in order to flip the inequality sign. So let's go ahead and do this one. Let's divide both sides by negative 12. And again, I'm going to write it directly underneath. Directly underneath. Okay. And don't forget, directly underneath the inequality sign, we have to flip it on the next step. So I want to go ahead and write that down right here underneath. And don't forget to flip it. So negative 12 divided by negative 12 is 1. So I get 1x, or just x. 60 divided by negative 12 is? What is it? Negative 5, not 5. Negative 5. Okay. And then one more step, just like we did over here. Yeah, negative 5 is less than all our answers, but we usually like writing it this way. Our answers are all bigger than negative 5. It means the same thing, but we generally like to write it this way. Negative 5 less than our answers are bigger than negative 5, same thing. So will this be going to the left or right? Left or right?
Right.
Okay, so plug in a number here. See if it works. Plug in negative 10. Is negative 10 bigger than negative 5?
No.
No. So negative 10 will not be an answer. So that means it must be the other direction. So it's going to the right. So you can always check. Notice how that check took, what, a second? It's not like you do not look at the inequality sign and say, oh, it's pointing this way, so the arrow's the same on the graph. Do not do that. Actually check a number. Just as easy. All right, again, 7 we're going to skip. 8, pretty much the same. Okay. We're okay there? All right. Yeah, skipping those. Flip it over, or where we are? The bottom here, number 9. What does this mean on the left-hand side right here, on number 9? What does that mean? Yeah, that means some number divided by 20 is bigger than or equal to negative 3. What's the opposite of divided by 20? Multiply by 20. Good. So both sides multiply by 20. We're getting used to looking at something, knowing exactly what it means. This means p divided by 20, so I need to multiply by 20. You really have to do these mentally steps first, not just try to write something quickly and hopefully it's right. You know, if you want to get 100% on all these, you can. You've been given those steps. Do you have the patience just to follow the steps and get them right, though? Or do you have to do it another way that's rushed and sometimes right? It's a personal choice. 20 divided by 20 is 1. So we have 1p. Okay, directly down here, I'm going to bring down the inequality sign, greater than or equal to. And then negative 3 times 20 is negative 60. Why did we not change the sign here? Why did we not change this flip it? Because we have a negative 3 right here. How come we didn't flip it? Yeah, we're multiplying by negative 3, but on both sides, we're multiplying by positive 20. So it's not, if there's a negative, then you flip it. It has to be the number that you're doing to both sides. All right, so this means all the numbers bigger than negative 60. Is negative 60 an answer? Is negative 60 an answer?
Yes.
I see an equal sign right here. So is negative 60 an answer?
Yes.
Yes, so solid circle. You got that, it's everything bigger, but also equal on the bottom there. So you got to read it. All right. Number 10. Again, what does this mean right here? What does it mean right here? Divide by what? Yeah, this means some number divided by 6. So what do you have to do both sides? Multiply by 6. You can go ahead and skip it though. Just want to make sure you know the steps. Let's go to 11, 2-step. So now that we have two steps, we have to do them in the correct order. Let's do them correct order. The way I made you look at this is that if there was, pretend that there was a number in here. Let's say 3. Okay? Right? What would you have to do first to the 3? Multiply by 2. And then you'd have to subtract 4. So what are we going to do? We're going to add 4 first, and then divide by 2 second. So now you have your steps. You know what you're going to do throughout the problem. You're not going to guess. Now, if you can do that mentally, that's fine. Many of you are getting used to it where you can look at this and say, well, if I had a number here, I'd first have to multiply it by 2 and then subtract 4. So therefore, I have to add 4 and then divide by 2. If you can do that, that's good. But I want you to see here that you can know what you're supposed to do before you start the problem. So first thing, add 4 to both sides. Directly under the negative sign, you're going to put plus. Directly under the 4, you're going to put a 4. On the other side, directly under the negative sign, you're going to put a plus. Directly under the 0, you're going to put 4. You're going to line everything up. Negative 4 plus 4, 0. Bring down 2n. Directly underneath. That's it. Bring down the equal sign. Directly underneath the equal sign above it. What is negative 40 plus 4? You owe $40. You pay off only $4. What do you have? How much do you owe? You owe negative 36. So make sure you get these integers correct. Always use money. Negative is owing money. Positive is paying it back. Owing $40, paying back $4, you owe 36. Okay? That's step 1. Step 2, divide by 2 on both sides. Directly underneath the 2. What's 2 divided by 2? No? 1. So we have 1n, not 0n. If we had 0n, would be a problem. 0 times n would be 0. We have 1n. Negative 36 divided by 2. Negative 18. And again, you can plug it back in and see if it actually works, if you have the time. And time is like what? 2 seconds, 5 seconds maybe? Something more? Let's skip up to 13. Go 13. Now this usually trips people up because they skip that first step. But what am I supposed to do? I want to go straight to, okay, minus 6 multiplied by 8. Don't skip that first step. Anything? Don't skip it. So if you plug in a number, 2 plus 6, I'm going to just pick 2 randomly, over 8. What would you have to do first? Add 6. And then you would divide by 8, right? So if you plug in a number, that's what you'd have to do. Notice how you had to add 6, then divide by 8. Okay. So for our problem to solve it, we're going to have to do the opposite of divide by 8 first, multiply by 8, and then you're going to have to subtract 6. Just like that. Know what you're going to do before you start. And don't assume, well, it's just like the last problem. It's always do the exact same thing. And it looks a little different, so you can expect some different steps. So first, multiply both sides by 8. So when I do this, make sure you put the 8 above, it's not at the top. It's a fraction, and you just multiply by a regular number, it automatically goes on top. Okay? And on this side, say, you put parentheses with an 8, or you put times with an 8. Okay? So what is 8 divided by 8? 8 divided by 8 is? 1. 1. So we bring down the what's left. X plus 6. You don't have to put over 1. So I'm just showing you when we're dividing, and it cancels, it equals 1. So if you add and subtract, it equals 0. No difference. Equal sign, directly underneath the one above it. 2 times 8. positive sign is a negative sign. Minus 6. Directly under the 6 of the 16, and another minus 6. You line up the ones. That equals what? What does this equal here?
0.
0. So we have x straight underneath. Leave this little space. And we have equals. The equals are still all lined up. 16 minus 6 is 10. Alright. Plug it back in. Does it work? Does 10 plus 6 divided by 8 equal 2?
Yes.
Yes. See how quick that check is? Same thing in your group quiz, same thing on your test tomorrow. You know what your grade is before you turn it in, because you can check everything once. All right. That's all the time we have for this. So you guys can use this right now. I'm going to hand out a quiz to each person. Everybody